In John chapter 8 and verse 12, Jesus says, I am the light of the world. He says, whoever follows me will no longer walk in darkness, but they will have the light of life. And when I just thought about Jesus being the light, I spent some time just meditating on that and thinking about, the essential function of light, and how light, on one hand, it exposes darkness, right? Light exposes darkness. And what do I mean by that? That light exposes darkness. Well, if you've ever been in the dark, then you know that you are now in light once the light comes on. Isn't that right? But there are so many, listen to me now, there are so many who all they know is the darkness. And if you've never been exposed to the light and all you know is darkness, then you don't really realize that you're living in darkness. But what the light does is it exposes the reality of the darkness that we live in. And that's what Christ does. So many times we find ourselves comparing ourselves one to another, right? I know I'm not the only one who has that bad habit, right? That I compare myself to someone else. And if I compared my life, listen to me now, if I compared my life to someone else's life, then I know I would look pretty good, right? If I compared myself to the right person's life, I know that I look pretty good. And the same thing is for you. If you compared your bad habits to someone else's bad habits, perhaps your bad habits doesn't look that bad. But remember, Jesus says, I am the light of the world. And that means that it's his light that's supposed to be shined into our lives. You're not supposed to be shining your light into someone else's life or their light into your life in comparison. But once we expose ourselves to the light of Christ, we realize just how much darkness our lives really have. Do you understand what I'm saying? We realize that we have a need of Jesus Christ, not just a need for his salvation, but a need for his sanctification, for his purifying work in our lives. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so this light not only exposes the darkness, but here's the blessed thing. Jesus says, whoever follows me, they'll no longer walk in the light. They'll no longer walk in the darkness. They'll now walk in the light. And so the other side is the light not only exposes the darkness, but it also expels the darkness. Anytime you cut the light on, the darkness has got to flee. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's so powerful and so beautiful, and in so many cases it's miraculous. But then also sometimes it requires us to not only pray to God for the miraculous, but yield to God for his daily work in our lives. If the darkness of sin is going to be expelled out of our lives, we've got to yield our lives to him. I don't know about you, family, but I don't want to just be on my way to heaven, but I want to be pleasing to God right now. And so in the areas of darkness in my life, I know that there are some things he just takes away from me miraculously, but there's so many other things that I've got to yield to him. I've got to choose to follow what he says in his word. Listen to what he says. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I've got to make a choice to forgive rather than to seek revenge. I've got to make the choice to follow God. I've got to make the choice to put this down rather than to consume it. I've got to make the choice to love rather than hate. Yes, there are some things that God will take away from us miraculously, but there are some other areas of darkness that the light will expel only by us yielding to God and allowing the Holy Spirit to do his work in our life. Well, God bless you and God keep you, family. That's your Lent devotional for this week.